And we are back. Sheffield United are ready to go again after last season's near miss, and SUTV Live will be with them every step of the way over the next 10 months or so. The journey starts tonight at Vicarage Road as the Blades head to newly relegated Watford. Coming up, we'll have all of the important team news. We'll hear from Blades boss Paul Heckingbottom and one of his new signings, Khadra. And we'll dip into the archives and relive a classic match between the Blades and the Hornets. And remember, all of the details around broadcasting restrictions for tonight's show can be found by going to the website sufc.co.uk. Well, it is great to be back. It doesn't feel like 2 minutes ago since we were saying goodbye to the last campaign after that defeat in the playoffs at Nottingham Forest, but we are fully charged and ready to go again. And as ever, Kevin Gage is part of our team. Good evening, Kevin.
Good evening, Paul.
Feeling good? Good summer?
Absolutely, yep. Too long because I missed the football, but...
Not been away?
Not yet, no.
No, I can tell with a skin colour like me. And Mark Duffy, good to see you, mate.
Thank you very much.
You've not been away either?
I have been away.
You have been away? Where's the tan?
Well, I was in the shade.
Oh, yeah, you see, sunblock, like us all, fair-haired. You've got to go with a full factor 50, haven't you?
It's a freckles thing for me.
Yeah, exactly. I know where you're coming from. Right, let's get straight into it, shall we? Let's take you to the team news. The first team picked by Paul Heckingbottom this season looks like this. West Fodringham in goal. There is a debut for Kieran Clark at the back, along with Egan. And we're thinking Rhys Norrington-Davies will play as left-sided centre-half. We'll discuss that in a moment. Right wing-back Baldock, left wing-back Stevens. In midfield, Fleck, Norwood and Berger, with Jebison and Njai up front. New signing, Khadra among the subs. Billy Sharp, fit again. He's able to take his place on the bench. Brewster, Lowe, Osborne and Gordon, the outfield players. So lots to discuss here, chaps. Let's start, shall we, with that left-sided centre-half position. Because when I first saw that 11, I thought it's going to be Stevens at left-sided centre-half, but Norrington-Davies has played there in pre-season. What do you think, Kev?
Well, it's not the team that he was looking... It's not the defence he was looking to pick, for absolute certain. And the full story will come out, but there's a couple of injuries. And I think there's some kind of suspension issue with Hodic, which is very, very strange. So we'll get to the bottom of that. But obviously we're struggling. We've got Robinson who's injured as well now. So that left centre-back position has become a bit of an issue this evening. We think Norrington-Davies is going to play there, although Ender has played there last season and did okay, to be honest. But I think they prefer Norrington-Davies a little bit stronger, a little bit quicker, a bit more defensive-minded than Ender, and Ender gives us more going forward. But yeah, it's a makeshift kind of back four, which sounds a silly thing to say with our new signing Kieran Clark in there. But of course he's left-footed and he'll be playing on the right-hand side because Bash is injured and Hodic is suspended.
Well, just to bring you up to speed on some of those who aren't available tonight, Chris Basham unavailable, hamstring, Jack Robinson out with a knee, Tommy Doyle out with a thigh issue, and Hodic is suspended for one game. Mark Duffy, what are your thoughts on how that back three looks, first of all?
Yeah, obviously I think Rhys is probably playing left of the three because he offers a little bit more pace than what Ender has, especially against their front three. Obviously with Sarr playing, he's going to be really a big threat on the break. So possibly that's the reason why he's playing there. But you know, obviously Bash is going to be a huge miss, just the way he steps out with the ball, and as I say, he's played that system for a long time now, so obviously going into the first game of the season you'd want a lot of your experienced players playing, and unfortunately he's picked up a hamstring injury.
Interested to see what Kieran Clark can offer. He was a big part of Newcastle's title win all those years ago when they went up. Not had enormous amounts of game time at Newcastle, but certainly at this level you would think that's a good acquisition, wouldn't you?
Yeah, he's a very good player, cultured player, good on the ball, lovely left foot. He's played a couple of pre-season games. He's slotted in beautifully. I mean, I'm really disappointed with the way it's turned out. You know, Paul Heckingbottom must be thinking he's run over a black cat or something. I mean, that's unlucky to have your defensive unit decimated as he has done. Because 2 weeks ago we looked to have a superbly strong defence and good backup as well. And now we're kind of juggling players to fit into positions. So yeah, but Kieran Clark, he will be a very, very good addition to the Blades.
Well, it seems to have flipped over, because last season it was all the strikers that seemed to be getting injured. Now it's the defenders that seem to be unavailable for one reason or another. But talking of strikers, Jebison gets the nod up front tonight. Only his second Championship start. Surprised by that? Brewster on the bench? Sharp on the bench?
I'm not actually that surprised, I must be honest. And I did a social media team, and I left Brewster out. So I'm not surprised that Jebo's playing, and I totally understand the reasons why, because he's going to give us a lot of energy and a lot of legs to go in the other way and on the break and getting in those channels. So I can see why he's going to start with Jebo. I think Brewster will be disappointed because he's played the majority of the pre-season games as the central striker up there. So I think he'll be upset. But, he's got to fight his way in the team. And now he's got Billy back on the bench as well to contend with. So there's competition up front.
Indeed. Jebison there to stretch the pitch, do you think?
Yeah, he's definitely there to stretch the pitch. And obviously his physical attributes, his size as well. Watford are a really good team, and we're probably going to have to play on the counter-attack a little bit, and he probably offers a little bit more in behind, so that's possibly the thinking behind it. Obviously Brewster's going to be disappointed because he's done well pre-season, like Gage just said. Then obviously Sharpie's now on the bench, so it's good options to have though.
Great opportunity for Jebison, isn't it? Got recalled last year, didn't get an awful lot of game time, and from what we saw of him, those little fleeting glimpses in the Premier League, you looked at him and thought, he's got the physique, he's got the stature, he's got the pace, looks like he's got the power. An early opportunity for him to really stake a claim, isn't there? And having seen a couple of his goals in pre-season, he's took them ever so well.
Yeah, he had an excellent loan spell at Burton, scored 9 goals. They thought the world of him at Burton. Yeah. And he came back to us. I don't think he wanted to come back, but circumstances dictated. We had an injury crisis, as you just mentioned, had to come back. Didn't really get a lot of game time, got the odd sub appearance. And then actually Will Asula kind of got above him in the pecking order, and Lee looked a handful when he came on. So a huge opportunity for Jebo, and he has got all the physical attributes to be a really, really top player. I think he just needs a run of games and maybe a couple of early goals, get his confidence going. Played really well in the pre-season game at Burton and scored 2 very well taken goals. Yeah. So anything, and they were kind of on the break, so he may get those opportunities this evening.
We'll talk in more detail about the new signings a little bit later, but for me, 2 really good bits of business so far, and admittedly the window hasn't closed yet, is keeping hold of Egan and Berger, 2 massive players from last season. How much of a bonus is that to this point?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, they're 2 of the main players in the squad, and obviously you want to keep the main players, especially if you want to be in contention with promotion. And Egan's been brilliant since he's ever come in. And last season, for me, Berger really showed his qualities, with his power and his driving through the middle of the park, and that's what we want to see a lot more this season, especially early on in the season. We need him to sort of really grasp the game and just take it by the scruff of the neck.
Berger's going to be massive, isn't he? I mean, we saw him struggle at the start. We saw how good he became in the second half of last season. Now he's got an opportunity to shine for a full campaign. That change of position where he's playing higher up the pitch, encouraged to carry the ball, run at defenders. Yeah, he's so key, isn't he?
He's going to be a huge player for us. I mean, you said he's massive. Yes, he is massive. He's 6'4" power, as we kept mentioning last season. But he's a huge. I mean, he's the biggest number 10 in the whole league, isn't he? And he's so effective. When he hits that top gear and he hits those channels, we didn't see enough of that because every time he gets the ball, you want him to make those runs, and he can't do it every single time, can you?
No, I think with him, he always leaves you wanting more out of him. That's the only thing with him, is you want more, because when he does do it, you're like, wow, where's that come from?
Yeah, you're thinking, why haven't you done that? Previously in the last 6 times you got the ball, but sometimes you do have to just knock it off easy. Yeah. But when he gets in full flight, I mean, he's literally unplayable because he's got pace as well. He's got pace, power, the technique's there. He's got everything, and he's going to be if we're going to be top 6, top 2 promotion, he's going to be a massive part of that.
We're expecting to see more goals from him. He did chip in with a few last season, but now he's playing higher up. I'm sure that he himself will be setting his own targets.
I think that he's definitely got to score more goals. Obviously, we look at the starting 11 tonight, and there's not that many goals in it. Obviously, with Sharpie not playing, Gibbs White gone, I think Berger and Ndai are the ones who will offer the goal threat. So, you know, I think if we want to make top 6 or top 2, he's probably possibly looking at 10 goals minimum, really.
Yeah, from midfield, we need everybody to chip in, because we've lost Gibbs' White's 12 goals from last season. We're going to have to replace them. What was good about Berger last season is he was scoring kind of tap-ins, wasn't he? Yeah. From 6 yards, you know, coming in at the far post. So he's not shy of getting in the box and getting in those positions to miss as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Must just mention at this juncture as well, the rule change this season regarding substitutions. You can use 5 substitutes, but only 3 opportunities to make those changes, plus half-time, of course, as well. For a team like Sheffield United, is that a good thing when ordinarily they would have a decent depth to the squad?
It can only be a good thing. I mean, I've had a conversation with someone earlier on today. It probably favours the bigger clubs with more resources, because you can pack your squad full of senior players. I think it's going to be very interesting this season how managers use their subs, because you can literally, obviously, change half the outfield team. It could be a bit like on a basketball. You bring in or American football. You bring an attacking team on for the second half. It's going to be interesting.
I think it will definitely favour the teams with the more attacking players, and you know, certain games you could leave maybe a couple of attackers on the bench, knowing that you can bring 3 of them on late on in the game. And you know, even in tonight's game, what a brilliant thing to be able to bring, you know, Sharpie and Brewster on, and the more attacking options that you got, I think the better. So I do think it will favour the bigger clubs with the bigger squad and more attacking players.
Yeah, I think it's exactly right. Tonight could be a prime example. You could play Jebison, literally say to Jebbo, run yourself silly, you know, for 45 minutes, 60 minutes, however long you can manage. But you're not kind of wasting a sub by having to replace him. You've still got loads of options on the bench.
I think with that as well, it's better for the players, because you know there's more opportunities for you to get on. Because obviously sometimes when you're sitting there and there's 2 subs being made already, you're looking down nervously thinking, am I on next? And once the 3rd's gone, that's it, it's over. But now there's more opportunities, so you'll be chomping at the bit.
I think it's good for the game, actually. I think it's a good rule that the league have brought in. I think it adds to the entertainment factor, definitely.
Yeah.
What about pre-season? I don't know how much you've seen of Sheffield United's pre-season. Bit of a mixed bag in terms of results. Started with that victory overseas against Cassiopeia. Won by 2-1. We've got some highlights of that. Sander Berger and Daniel Jebison on target in this one. So this was part of their training camp, wasn't it? Warm weather training camp. Looks very nice indeed. Berger sticking that one away. And again, in those right kind of areas that you were talking about a few moments ago, Kevin. And Daniel Jebison, I mean, this is a great strike, actually. Really puts this one away brilliantly. A lot of power in this. Generates a lot of power out of that shot, doesn't it?
It's a great bit of skill, though, and it shows the confidence he's playing with as well. You know, for him to fake it on his right side and then come inside and then obviously finish lovely with his left foot. As I say, it shows his confidence, and hopefully he can bring that tonight. That's what we'll be looking for. And
does it give you confidence when you're finding the net in pre-season, even though they're not kind of meaningful matches, as it were, but just to get your eye in?
Well, you speak to Sharpie. Sharpie includes every goal, you know. And if he's not scoring goals, he's not happy. I think that's with any striker. If they're not scoring, they're not happy, and it just breeds confidence, and not just with the strikers. It breeds confidence for the midfielders that your striker's putting the ball in the net, because that's all you want to see.
You mentioned Willisula, Kevin. He got a couple against Lincoln. There were 2 teams, 2 60-minute games for this one. And again, a player who has got all the kind of attributes you would expect from a big, imposing striker. And again, if he's finding the net in this manner, that can only be a good thing as well, to take into the first team picture.
Of course it is, but and it's also, they've got a kind of mini competition going between them, Jebison and Asula, which will only drive both of them on. Asula, believe it or not, is even more powerful and quicker than Jebison. Who knows who'll turn out to be the better player? They're both destined to have good careers going forward, and they're both, I think they're only 18, 19 years old. Just 2 very good players, and Sheffield United are lucky to have the both of them. Jebison's obviously got the nod just early on. I think he's obviously got a bit more experience than Asula with his loan period last year at Burton, we just mentioned. So I think Jebison's in the pole position at the moment, but Asula will be pushing him very, very hard very soon.
Just seen Osborne and Berger score in this game, and then a couple of goals for Rhian Brewster. And of course, It was so cruel on him last season. He was just hitting his stride, and then the injury struck, and you didn't see him again. This will do the world of good for his confidence, surely.
Yeah, as Duff's just said, centre forwards and strikers in particular, like the Billy Sharps and the Brewsters, they absolutely live and die on their goals. So that will do him the world of good. I'm telling you right now, he'll be deeply disappointed he's not playing this evening. Yeah. And hopefully he'll respond in the right way, and he'll come back and he'll want to do even better and get in the team, and when he gets in the team, perform and score goals. He hasn't done a lot wrong in pre-season. I've been fortunate enough to see most of the pre-season games, and he's been the central striker for all the first team games, and he's played okay. He looks fit and he looks sharp and he looks with it. Good finish here. Yeah. He's got a couple of other opportunities that he's had. He's kind of Billy Sharp. He's always in and around the box, sniffing out opportunities. So, as I say, he'll be disappointed not to be playing tonight, but hopefully he'll take it the right way, and he'll come back and be part of the picture very soon.
Different types of goals as well, as we'll see here. This is the Scunthorpe game.
Yeah, that was a really good header. I think it was disallowed, wasn't it?
No,
I think that one was disallowed. So we lost. Was it not?
Lost in that game, and Jai got the other one. It did stand.
Oh, that's right.
Sheffield United lost 3-2.
It was 3-2, wasn't it? That was the
here he is again.
Goal.
I don't know how much contact he makes on this. He certainly... I think he does actually score, doesn't he? But he puts the pressure on the defender there as well. So if he wasn't going to stick that one away, I think the defender would probably put it in his own net.
He's a centre forward, so he's going to claim it.
He's definitely claiming it. Yeah, he got the final touch for sure. So yeah, a bit of a mixed bag through pre-season, but I think fitness is always top of the agenda, isn't it? Where managers are concerned.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, people will always talk about pre-season. You want to win games, but it is about fitness and getting your match sharpness, and new players coming in, getting used to the system, getting used to the players, and the main thing about it is obviously the fitness and not picking up injuries. Unfortunately, we've picked up a few injuries, which is disappointing, but obviously the season's upon us now, and we've got to go with what we've got. And I'd say that the lads will be fit and raring to go. There's nothing like the feeling of the first day of the season.
Brewster, just to stay on him for a minute longer or so, Kevin, not played since the end of January, but looking at him on the footage there, looks like he's bulked up a little bit. Do you agree? Or?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
In a good way.
I know what you mean. He's hopefully putting a bit of muscle and not any body fat. I'm sure the fitness guys would have made sure that hasn't happened. But yeah, well, when you're out, you've got some kind of muscular injury, the only way you can keep going is to be in the gym, and they do put you through like the weight system. So maybe he's bulked up a bit. That won't do him any harm, to be honest, as long as he's more powerful because of it. And a bit fitter and a bit stronger, I don't think that will do him any harm at all.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously when you're out injured, they put you through a long gym stuff, and it is tough. It's mentally tough as well. But what you've got to think is when you come back, you'll be fitter, you'll be stronger, and hopefully you'll be a better player for it all.
He's quite a chunky build as well, isn't he? He's not one of these slim athletes like Bash or someone like that. He's a chunky lad, so he's just got to be careful he doesn't go too far the other way, because you can get a bit too big sometimes if you turn into a gym bunny.
Yeah.
But at least they've had a full pre-season this year, because a lot was made of that, wasn't it, for various reasons last year. They didn't have the amount of games, the volume of matches that they wanted. Yeah. They've had a full pre-season this time. An imperative that they get off to a good start, because it wasn't a good start last season, didn't win any of their first 5 games. And if we look at their first 5 matches of this season, obviously Watford tonight is a test, having just come down from the Premier League. Millwall, who will have designs on trying to push even further into the top 6 this season. West Bromwich Albion, Carabao Cup. Middlesbrough, don't need to say much about that picture, do we? And then Sunderland, new to the league, who a lot of people are expecting to perform quite well, and did do well the other day against Coventry. So it's a challenging start, but that's the division, isn't it? You could pick another 5 teams and say exactly the same thing.
It is a tough start. Obviously Watford being relegated from the Premier League. Millwall had a great result the other day. West Brom obviously got a lot of resources, and obviously Middlesbrough as well. It's a tough start, but like you said, you could put another 5 teams up there, and it would be tough, and that is the championship for you.
But starting well, Kevin, is imperative. I mean, Paul Heckingbottom did a wonderful job after what was a really poor start to the campaign that was led by someone else, obviously. But what he did to get Sheffield United into the playoffs was phenomenal. But if he can get off to a good start this time around, it makes life an awful lot easier, doesn't it?
Well, it does, doesn't it? Clearly, yeah. I mean, I'd settle for an adequate start, to be honest. I mean, as long as we didn't have anything like last year. But we don't want to be playing catch-up. But it's not the end of the world if you do take time to get into your stride. Mark will know exactly what happened with Chris Wilder when we were bottom of the league after 4 weeks, weren't we?
Yeah,
and we ended up getting 100 points. Yeah. So it's not, and Forest, of course. Forest went on that fantastic run when Cooper took over. They were right in the relegation zone. So if anything happens tonight or we don't get off to a fantastic start, let's not panic too much, because I'm absolutely convinced that with the quality we've signed and the quality we have in the side already from last season, I think we'll be up there or thereabouts at the end of the season.
I think we lost the championship start as well of the season both times when obviously the season we went up, but the season before we struggled for the first 2 games of that season, but because it's just new players coming in, getting used to the system, sometimes you'd have a bit of bad luck along the way. So it's a tough start, but hopefully we pick up the points.
Yeah, and also the one good thing about this season, whereas last season was kind of a revolution with Slav, changing the system, changing the players, trying to play 4 at the back, 4-3-3. It didn't ever work. We're more kind of evolution this year rather than revolution. We're keeping the same system. I think we've just upgraded in certain areas. Not just signings, but players with a bit more experience coming in, like Jefferson and people like that.
Yeah. Of the players that have been signed, who stands out for you? I mean, a lot of people talking about Anel Amahodic. And how good he is and how he was wanted by clubs higher up the food chain, but Sheffield United managed to snag him and get him here. Khadra, we know what he's all about, as he showed against United in the 2 games last season. When you look at the business that's been done, happy?
Oh, deliriously happy.
Deliriously happy.
I'm so disappointed that Amahodic isn't playing, because I was ready to come down this evening and wax lyrical about how good he was. Straight from the first pre-season game, you could just see he oozed quality on the ball. And he's a good defender, he's a stopper, he's 6'5", which is going to be handy at set pieces. He looks calm, composed on the ball, he can distribute it well. I mean, and we all love Chris Basham, of course we do, but he's an upgrade on Chris Basham. And I'd never thought I'd be saying that, by the way, because we all love Bash. But yeah, he's a good top quality player, and I've absolutely no doubt, whatever the score this evening, he'll be playing on Saturday.
Kevin Gage, a fully paid up member already of the Anel fan club.
Yep.
Yeah, it's there.
See, I'm one of the attackers, so I like
Khadra then.
Yeah, I'm more of a Khadra. Obviously, he's got big boots to fill. Obviously, Gibbs White going, and there'll be a lot of pressure on him because there'll be a lot of comparisons and stuff. But as I say, that's the top end of the championship. You've got expectations, and you've got to come in and deliver. But he showed already in the games that we played against him last year his quality. We'll be looking for him to hit the ground running really, and create chances, create goals, and score some nice goals as well.
Which leads us beautifully into our first interview with the Sheffield United manager, Paul Heckingbottom, who's been speaking about the business he's been able to do, and in particular, he is well aware of all the excitement surrounding the recent acquisition of Reda Khadra.
I think everyone's excited. We wanted to get him in and work with him because we think he provides something a little bit different. 1v1 moments, his pace. He was desperate to come here. He's obviously experienced Bramall Lane and the team and saw we play. Liked what we said to him, so he's excited to come and sees it a chance to improve, and he knows it's going to be a challenge. He knows it's a good squad, but he was desperate to come, and then I think the fans have got excited off the back of certainly his 2 performances against us last season. So yeah, everyone's excited to have him here, and we want to see him on the pitch.
How many more players would you like before the end of the window?
We know after the circumstances of coming out of the Premier League, your income drops. Yeah, we have parachute payments, but then they drop again this year. So the budget's dropped. It's dropped again this year, the playing budget, which is fine. But we've had to sign players in and out. He's ours. Obviously, Dave won a free, things like that.
So that's Paul Heckingbottom, more from him in just a moment. But when you look at the squad, Kevin, is there an area of the team where you'd like to see further reinforcements?
The only position we might struggle is at right wing back because with Bogle with the injury still, Baldock's kind of the automatic choice, the only one that could possibly play there. Where they could push Basham there at a real push. So I genuinely think we've probably got enough, because person we haven't mentioned yet is Doyle, of course, from Man City, top quality midfielder. Where's he going to fit into the mix? So there's lots and lots of options for Hecky.
It's what you want, though, isn't it? And again, it's great flexibility for the manager.
Yeah, definitely. We need competition for places. Once you get your opportunity, you've got to take it, really. And obviously, Jefferson's got his tonight, and he'll be looking to score a goal or have an assist or have a real impact on the game. And then it's his share to keep, really. But on the flip side of that, all the other strikers will be chomping at the bit, waiting for their opportunity, and hopefully when they do get that, they'll take it as well.
So competition throughout the squad is healthy, providing everybody's fit, but the manager is not ruling out further additions.
Because there's such a long time between now and when the window shuts, things can change during the season. However, we'll always be looking. We need to be. But in terms of the squad now, I'm looking at the squad on the grass today. Now we're rotating players and changing positions over, barring George at right wing back at the minute. We've got two very good players, at least two, competing for every position, which is great. So, yeah, we're happy where we are in terms of that. But I can't see us being done, just because of how football is and the things that may come in terms of an opportunity to strengthen, and also the things that may come like through necessity, an injury, suspension, something like that.
Are there any particular positions you are still really keen to add, or will again that depend?
Depend. Let's say in terms of now the balance of the squad is pretty good as it stands, but it doesn't mean we'll stop looking.
More from Paul Heckingbottom ahead of kickoff, which is at 8 o'clock. I should have mentioned that right at the start. 8 o'clock kickoff for Watford against Sheffield United. This coming Saturday, Sheffield United's first home game of the season sees them face Millwall. We are on the air from 2 o'clock for a 3 o'clock kickoff, and then we head into the Cup. Sheffield United in Carabao Cup action here at the Lane. 8 o'clock start. The Hawthorns rather, isn't it? It's not here, is it? Bramley. On air from 7:30 in the Carabao Cup. You can follow that one with SUTV Live as well. There we are. Something else that you might be interested in seeing as well. Have a look at this. There you go, it's official. Sheffield United's kit has been released and it's available to buy this coming Saturday from the club shop. Our fashionista Kevin Gage is going to give his opinion on what he feels about the new kit. What do you reckon?
It's beautiful. It's red and white stripes and black shorts.
I like the trim on the shorts, actually. The trim on the shorts, very nice. I like that. Happy with that?
Yeah, I really like it. Really like it.
Fancy a bit of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go, see. Sold. Sold. First two will be at the shop on Saturday with these two fellas alongside me. Just a recap of the Sheffield United team news if you have just joined us. It's a debut for Kieran Clark at the back for the Blaze tonight. Fodderming in goal, Clark, Egan and Norrington Davis we think will make up the back three. Baldock, Fleck, Norwood and Stevens, Berger, Jefferson and Njai. Right. Time to delve into the SUTV Live archives now and revisit a 2005 league fixture at Vicarage Road that finished 3-2.
McNamee's corner and Carlisle is up and Henderson is in. Darius Henderson the scorer. Credit Carlisle for the assist. And Henderson at the bar post gives Watford the lead. Henderson might make this interesting still, and does make it interesting. It's 2-0 at Watford, and it's a disaster for the Sheffield United backline. But Kai got an important touch. It wasn't a clean one. And in the end, Unsworth wanted to hit it, and Quinn decided to go with it. It's gone across now for Kozluk. The header is a very good goal, and it's been scored by Phil Jagielka for Sheffield United. It didn't seem as though there was anything on when Quinn, I have to say, I thought had done the wrong thing. Kozluk's ball back in. Jagielka, firm header, past Foster, and suddenly the game really is on. Listen, made a hash of it. It was Montgomery's ball for Eiffel. Sheffield United now try and turn the screw, and 2-2 is the score. Eiffel, let's fly, and United are on level terms with 2 in 10 minutes. And Webber is onside. Doyley away. They're queuing up for it here, and it'll come for Eiffel. And in the end, it's gone in his own net of Clark Carlisle. And Sheffield United are 3-2 in front.
17 years ago, that. Blimey, I was at that game. I covered that game. That makes me feel extremely old. Let's look at the fixture here and now. Sheffield United at Watford tonight. This is how the hosts will line up. And we think they'll go with a back three and wing backs as well. Rob Edwards, new manager, played that way at Forest Green. So backman in goal, we're expecting Cathcart, Kabasele and Surialta at the back. Sema and Kamara, the wing backs. Cleverley and Kayembe in midfield. And then the front three, Dennis, Joao Pedro and Ismaila Sarr. So quite a dangerous looking front three there, Mark Duffy.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised Sarr's still there, to be honest. Obviously he carries a lot of quality, and he's been a really good player over the last 3 or 4 years, mainly in the Premier League, so he's a real threat. And obviously with Dennis and Pedro as well, the front three is really dangerous, and I've got a lot of pace.
Yeah, I think the most important name on that team sheet is the manager, or head coach as he's called, because he's come in, he's a huge success with Forest Green. They were up as champions, and Watford were a club in complete turmoil apparently. They went down with a whimper last year from the Premier League, and they were in a right mess, and I think he's come in, he shook everything up. He's got rid of 20 players apparently. They already have some decent quality there, and I think there'll be a real top team this season if he can get them going. Because, as I say, the quality is still there. They just need organising and motivating, I think.
It's their 7th permanent boss in 3 years and 16th different manager since 2012.
Yeah.
The pressure's on, isn't it? I mean, if he doesn't get off to a good start, he might not be there next month.
You'd like to think he's there for the long term. I'm sure he thinks that anyway. Yeah. But I think he's one of these good up and coming English managers. Yeah. I expect him. I expect him, and I expect Watford to do very well this season.
It's a pressure job, that one, though, isn't it?
I think it's Watford's type of model, really. They change managers virtually every other season, regardless of how well they do or not. Yeah. I think they just get a little bit bored sometimes and just fancy freshening things up.
Well, they had 3 different managers last year.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. So Xisco, Munoz, Hodgson, Ranieri. Yeah. And the last 6 managers have failed to see out a full calendar year.
Yeah, I mean, the inside info is Watford dressing room last year was terrible. The atmosphere was abysmal, and the players kind of down tools. So I'm sure the new manager will be fully aware of that. He'll get his staff in. He's had a good pre-season, completely new broom, new attitude, and as I say, with the quality they possess, I see him being up there with us hopefully at the end of the season.
I think the chairman's taken the new manager bounce to a new level, to be honest.
It'd be interesting to see how Watford perform. Burnley on Friday night I thought were excellent. They looked really good in a Vincent company. I saw Norwich at Cardiff. They weren't great, albeit this is after 1 game. So I just wonder what we're going to get from Watford, because the pressure is on them to bounce straight back, as it was for Sheffield United and as it is for all the other teams that come down. It's the expectation, handling that pressure, and also the mindset of getting used to Championship football again and not being in the Premier League. So mindset is crucial, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I think mindset's crucial, of course, in all the leagues. Just to be a footballer, mindset's crucial. But you have to come to terms with not being in the Premier League. It is I was going to say a different ball game. It's not. It's a completely same ball game, but it's a slightly different scenario. But the Championship is just relentless, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've just mentioned a load of teams there, and you've still got the good teams in the Championship. There's always a couple of teams that do really well that you don't expect to. We had Luton last year in the top 4, top 6. You know, who could see that happening? You just mentioned Sunderland earlier. You know, they've got a bit of momentum coming. They'll be up. There's always one or two teams that do really well, and you've got your big guns, of which Sheffield United are one. And of course, everybody wants to come to Bramall Lane and turn Sheffield United over in front of this wonderful crowd and stadium. So that is added pressure as well. But the players, you know, they're top quality players. They should be able to deal with that.
There's no guarantee, though, is there, that when you come back down, you are going to bounce straight back. We've got a graphic here that shows you the record of teams who've been relegated from the Premier League and then what's happened. Norwich have been the stereotypical yo-yo club, haven't they, over the last few years. Fulham, you can see how Fulham perform going straight back up as well. So, you know, there is some evidence to suggest that when you do get relegated, your chances of going straight back are increased, but it doesn't always work that way, as you know, West Bromwich Albion, for example, have found out.
Yeah, I think it's very important, the players you bring in, the mindset that they have, you know. It's a very, very tough league, and it's Saturday, Tuesday, and you know, you haven't got the glitz and glamour of the Premier League. It's, you know, sometimes you've got to go away from home and really knuckle down and roll your sleeves up, really. And I think that's when you're looking at the character of players that you're bringing in. That they've got to really buy into the club and the work ethic, and just the Championship way of playing, really.
So where is Sheffield United going to finish in all of this, Kevin? I'm surprised not asked you this question yet. We are 40 minutes into the broadcast.
What, for the whole season?
Yeah.
You're just asking for my prediction now?
Where should they be pitching themselves this season, having got to the playoffs last season? Does it automatically follow? It's got to be automatic this year?
We're a top 6 side, no doubt whatsoever. We proved that last season, and as we've already been mentioning, I think we've upgraded in certain areas this season. So I don't see any reason whatsoever why we shouldn't be there or thereabouts all season long. You know, we talked about getting a good start. If we can start to build a momentum going, get some confidence going, get all our players back and fit and available, so we don't have those horrendous injury problems that we got last season. We've already seen what a difference like a packed, enthusiastic Bramall Lane crowd can bring to the team. So I think we can get this thing rolling, just like Hecky got us rolling when he took over last season.
Yeah, I think we're in and around the top 6. I think for be top 2, you need a striker with 20 plus goals. You need a couple of midfielders to chip in with, you know, 10 to 15. I think possibly we might just be lacking that 20 goal plus striker. Obviously, if Billy plays every game, he could get that. But if Billy doesn't, I think we lack a little bit of goals. Obviously, we've got young players, up and coming players, but it's a lot to ask them to get 20 goals a season. So that's one area that I'm a little bit concerned about.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been writing Billy off every season for the last 3 seasons, every single season. I'm delighted to say he's proved me wrong, because we keep saying, oh, he's an impact player, he'll be on the bench, and then he is at the start of the season, and he gets a goal, and he keeps his place in the team, and he keeps scoring, and he's the best player, best forward we've got still at the age of, I don't know what he's in now, about 42.
He's 35, 36.
But we need the goals. We need to replace Gibbs White goals from last season. We need players to chip in. We need Njai to fulfil his massive potential and not only play superbly well as that creative floating player, but, you know, be a clinical goal scorer as well, which I think he's got in his locker.
Yeah, and we saw signs of that, didn't we, towards the end of last season? He became more of a clinical finisher. Just a pity he couldn't have been more clinical at the City ground that night when he had 2 big chances. But there we are. But he did chip in with some very important goals towards the latter stages, didn't he?
And he took them very well as well. There was a one-on-one that he didn't score. Everybody's berating him for that. But the couple of occasions just down here, I remember he slid one in beautifully at the end of the season. And I think he's got that ability. Just that will come with a bit more experience. He seems to be very composed on the ball. You know, he knows what he's doing. So
I think that's right. He's only a young player, and the more times he gets in those areas, the more clinical he will be, because he becomes more familiar of getting in there. Whereas when it falls to Billy, it's just second nature for Billy to do what he does. But Billy's been doing that for 20 plus years. So, you know, we're comparing Njai to Billy. It's, you know, he's had a lot longer. I think, you know, with more games and more practice, he will get that.
Well, Njai is in the starting lineup for Sheffield United tonight, so let's have a look at how the Blades will line up at Watford. Fotheringham in goal, Clark, Egan, and we think Norrington Davis as the back three, Stevens and Baldock as the wing backs, midfield Fleck, Norwood and Berger with Jebison and Njai, Reda Khadra among the substitutes. Do you think we'll see Reda Khadra tonight, and why do you think he's perhaps not been tempted to throw him straight in?
I don't know Khadra's fitness level at the moment. I'm assuming he's had a decent pre-season back at Brighton, so you don't know quite how many games he's played, what he's been involved in. I think it's a big call to throw him in. You know, I might have been tempted to do so if I'd been the manager, because it's an away game and there's no pressure on him, and you know, hit him on the break, because we've seen what he can do on the break, because he tore us apart at Blackburn, didn't we, when we went there. But we already mentioned it, it's going to be vitally important, the substitutions this season. Tonight will be no different. So, yeah, interesting bench.
And some big players to come back from injury as well. You know, Doyle, we spoke about. O'Connell, I don't know whether we'll see O'Connell anytime soon, but, you know, he seems to be making decent enough progress. McBurney to come back, Bogle. So when they're all fit, he's going to have even bigger decisions to make, isn't he?
I think one of Hecky's main problems this season will be keeping everybody happy in that squad. I think having the substitute situation, we've already talked about all the players being more involved, I think that will help. But there's going to be a lot of senior players who won't be too happy to not be involved, you know, week after week. Because you can't keep everybody happy in a squad of football players. Because I would imagine they all want to play and be involved.
Well, we've spoken a lot about Reda Khadra tonight. Who knows, we might see him make his debut. But let's hear from him now, shall we? He's the latest signing through the door. And it's understandable that people are making comparisons between him and Morgan Gibbs-White. Could he be Gibbs-White replacement? And does that bring any pressure?
Why Sheffield United? I would imagine there would have been one or two other teams interested.
Yeah.
So what was it about the Blades?
I think as well the fans, when we played with Rovers last year there, it was really like an atmosphere I've never seen in a championship. So that was like one of the reasons I wanted to play for this club.
You had some interesting experiences against United last season. You mentioned the game at Bramall Lane, but also the game at Ewood Park. You really impressed in that match. Yeah,
I think it was like a great experience for me to play in that stadium. Just can't remember the tackle.
Charlie Good, wasn't it?
But it was like a great feeling to play against United.
They said when United did win that game, the atmosphere and the noise, it was the sort of the loudest people had heard all season. Clearly that's obviously had a lasting impact on you.
Yeah, for sure. I think to have these fans then behind you is like something different. I think they can push you and drive you more to do your thing, and yes.
Your performances must have had an impact as well on Paul Heckingbottom, the manager. What did he say to you on the day you signed today?
To be fair, he gave me like from the first day a good feeling to sign for this club. I talked with him a lot, and he gave me like a great feeling, and United offered me like a great plan. So I think that's what every player wants to hear, and yes.
Tell us about the Championship. Obviously you had a good experience of it last season. What's it like to play in? And I know you'll have ambitions to play higher, but it's still a very good standard and a really good league.
Yeah, for sure. I'm still very young, and I still have time to develop, and I think this league is great for me, especially to be in this club here is, I think, the best next step that I could do, and yeah.
And tell us how you're feeling about coming into next season. Obviously we're getting going very soon against Watford. You all good and ready to get going for that game?
Yeah, for sure. I have a good friend there. He's a goalkeeper, and hopefully I can score against him. So I'm really looking forward to play there.
Yeah, it's a good early test for United, isn't it? With Watford coming down from the Premier League, so it's a really tough start, but a challenge I'm sure you'll welcome.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm really happy now to be here, that I can start, and hopefully we can win like many games and go up.
Certainly big shoes for Reda Khadra to fill, but I guess it's a challenge he'll be relishing nonetheless. But we've not spoken much about Gibbs-White. OK, he's not a Sheffield United player anymore, but what an influence he had on this team last season. He's going to be a massive miss, isn't he?
Yeah, obviously he was a fantastic player, and he sort of really bought into the club and the ethos of the club, and just integrated with all the players, and you know, his style of play, and he got everyone on the edge of the seat, and it's exactly what we want. And obviously that's what we're hoping for from Khadra. Really, is he can come in and hit the ground running, and get all the fans on the edge of their seats and just entertain everyone and get some goals and assists.
And it seemed like he cared, Gibbs White. You know, you don't always see it with lone players, do you? But he looked right at home here, and I think that's the reason why that connection was formed so quickly between him and the supporters.
Yeah, he was so enthusiastic, wasn't he? You could just sense it. He just loved being out there, and we took to him, didn't we? Made him Player of the Year, which says everything. So you shouldn't fall in love with lone players, but we did. But he's going to be a hard man to replace. As I say, 12 goals, 10 assists as well. So he contributed so many goals and assists to our season. And Khadra, for all his tricks and his flicks, and we've seen some YouTube footage of him, and we know how good he is because he showed it against us at Blackburn. He only got 4 goals. I think it was either 2 or 3 assists, so not a fantastic output, to be honest. I think he only played about 25 to 26 games, so he didn't play as many as Gibbs White, but we need, as we already mentioned, Duffs has just mentioned earlier, we need goals from midfield as well as the strikers. Need everybody chipping in. So he's going to have to hit the ground running, and if he gets a go in the side, if he gets a maybe half hour, 20 minutes tonight, he's going to have to show his worth and fight his way into this side.
I think that it's important as well that the fans really, give him that time to integrate into the group and, get used to the style of play, because it'll be totally different to what he played with before. And, fans sometimes are quick to judge. They'll compare him straight away to Gibbs White, and it can be a difficult place, home and away, when the fans are comparing to someone. So, I do think we need to give him time and, really support him.
And another thing to consider is where do we fit him in the team? Because are we going to play with him and Njai? Can you fit both of them in the team? It's a difficult one. You might be playing with 2 number 10s and a central striker, and if that happens, you've only got 2 midfielders. So something's got to give there.
Well, there was sometimes when I played here, Didzy would drop in as a 10 and we'd play with 2 10s, and sometimes it would only be for like 20 minutes just to disrupt their formation, and then Didzy would go back and I'd go back into the 10. So there is a few options, and obviously...
And Giant Gibbs White did it together though, didn't they? Last season?
I think there was occasions when we didn't play with the strikers because we didn't have one. So we just played them 2 up front and just told them to go, roaming around, and it causes defenders so many problems, doesn't it?
There's no one to mark,
you still need midfield runners to join them.
Definitely.
So as we've already talked about, he's got so many options when everybody's fit, and assuming everybody's on form. The system might be very fluid this season. It might be horses for courses, different games, like an away game at Watford or somewhere else. You play Jefferson. You play a striker that can run and give him to shake him up a bit, and then a couple behind him or something.
Yeah. The defence last season was such a platform really for Sheffield United's success. The amount of clean sheets they managed to keep. When you look at the front 3 that Watford put out tonight, Sarr, Dennis, Pedro, dangerous, but you've got to back this defence, haven't you? I mean, given what they delivered last season.
If we were sitting here with our first choice defence, I'd be agreeing with you, Paul. But I'm just a bit concerned that we might be a bit unbalanced, and I think Watford's front 3 would give our first choice defence, let's call them, a hard time. So I'm just hoping that our substitute defence, although we've got Egan, Kieran Clark, they're good quality, experienced players, but Clark's on the wrong side, and Norrington Davis is not a left centre back really. So I just hope it's not going to be too much for us.
And it makes such a difference, Clark playing on the right from the left. Obviously, he'll have played there before, but playing on the right when the ball's coming to you, you naturally, just kick it down the line, or you're playing passes with your left foot. Now it's all on his right. Is he going to be going inside all the time? And it won't be too long before their players recognise that and, keep him going on his right foot. So then it causes problems with us playing out. So it'll be interesting to see how we play with that.
Intriguing. Wes Foderingham. You can often overlook the goalkeeper, can't you, in situations like this? But he was outstanding. Robin Olsen started the season last year. Didn't have a great time, let's be honest. But Wes came in, and my goodness, did he take his opportunity. And what a difference that makes to have a goalkeeper who's assured and confident between the posts as well.
Yeah, he was brilliant, wasn't he? He made some. He talked about his confidence as well, and you're quite right to do that. He came to claim so many crosses, and he was so commanding in the box as well. But the saves he made at crucial times, he was pulling off some fantastic saves. Not constantly, because we weren't under that much pressure, but when he had to make the saves, he made them definitely, and he made so few errors. Can't think of a howler that he made. You expect your keepers to make 1 or 2 or 3 a season. I can't remember him making any kind of mistakes whatsoever.
So before
consistent.
you go, is he going to be picking the ball out of the net tonight? What's your prediction?
I think he will be picking the ball out of the net. So it's not going to be 0-0, but I'm never going to say the Sheffield United are going to lose. So I think it'd be something like 2-2.
Oh, okay. Entertaining then.
And by the way, I'd settle for that right now. I'd snap your hand off.
I think most people would take a draw right now. Kevin, we'll let you go and get in position ready for the commentary. We'll get more from Mark Duffy in just a few moments' time. But let's hear from Paul Heckingbottom for the final time ahead of kick-off. We've been asking him whether the expectation and pressure is any different this season to last.
No, I think we deal with that ourselves internally. Like, we'll not speak to you guys or come out too high, too low. We may be internally really forthright and honest in what we say, what we expect, but no, nothing's really changed. I think what all I've said to players, and the only thing that stopped us last season was time. We ran out of time. If the season had been a bit longer, I think we'd have got there. If that game against Forest had been a few minutes longer, I think we'd have got there. So we ran out of time. But you could flip that. You could say, well, we had all the time at the start of the season, so that's the importance I'd put on the start of the season. We don't want to handicap ourselves in the same way. We want to be competitive all the way through. Throughout the season, there's going to be that. We know it. We know that. And there's differences in this season as well. I'm looking at our schedule early doors and the change in TV, and it's ruthless, really. It's not right, but we've got a good squad and we'll use it. And then there'll be natural breaks, international break, then the World Cup. So it's going to be like lots of little sprints, certainly up until Christmas. Which is a different dynamic, so we want to make sure we handle that well. So, because once this season kicks off against Watford, it's unrelenting. We'll not be coming up for air, until September, that first international break.
Well, these are live pictures from Vicarage Road. Sheffield United well backed for this, the opening game of the campaign. And if you are in any doubt with regards to tonight's broadcasting regulations, make sure you go to the website sufc.co.uk. But it looks as though a good atmosphere has been generated down at the Vic tonight. Mark Duffy is going to watch the game with us. What kind of a match are you expecting?
I think it'll be a bit of a cagey game to start with. Both teams just sort of, feeling each other out a little bit. But I expect goals, to be honest. And I think I'm going to go with Gage as well. I think it could be 2-2.
Well, Paul Heckingbottom there going across to applaud the supporters who've made the trip. Always exudes a calmness on the sidelines, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's brilliant. One of the real pluses about him, because obviously the players can feel that and they can go into each game with real confidence and at ease, really.
Who do you think the key man could be tonight for Sheffield United?
I'm going to say John Egan, really, just marshalling. We see Eags there, just marshalling that back three. Obviously, he's got 2 new players alongside him. He is going to have to talk them through the game. Although, Clark is a very experienced player, he's playing in an unfamiliar position, and then obviously Reece on the other side. So I think if we're going to get something out the game tonight, I think Eags is going to have to really produce the goods. What's
the feeling like as a player at this moment? You've gone through pre-season at the start of a brand new campaign, but now it's business time. Oh, it's unbelievable. The hard running and the hard miles have now been done. And you're just, really excited to get out there, and you just can't wait. Obviously, it'll be a full house tonight. All the Blades fans have gone down there on a Monday night, which is obviously unbelievable. And you just want to go out there and do yourself justice and do the fans proud, really. Good yardstick, isn't it? For the opening game. It's a brilliant one. It's a to really put your marker down. Because Watford are going to be one of those teams who are up there. So although it's the first game of the season, it is an important game as well. Here we go then, the hard slog starts now. Sheffield United about to kick off their championship campaign away to relegated Watford. I wonder what the next 90 minutes have in store for us. Let's find out with your commentary team, the former Sheffield United defender Kevin Gage and your commentator Matt Young.
Here we go again, the Championship is back and Sheffield United are set for an early test of their potential promotion credentials at Vicarage Road tonight. After going agonisingly close last time around, Paul Heckingbottom begins